Lotus. It's white, we're black, it's all good.
You almost broke up my parents' marriage.
What?
47 years of marriage!
The fact that anybody wants to see 49-year-old booty.
Been lifting it up.
Hallelujah!
When did you meet me? I'll tell you when I met you.
I think he was at like an evening before party or a night before party around the Emmys or something.
We did.
And I fanned out there. But you're saying there's something before then?
Yeah.
Tell me what before then.
I was fanning out in Video Village when you were shooting with Yvonne.
I did shoot with Yvonne.
Yeah.
But you didn't come say...
Because I wasn't in the scene. Because I wear different hats on the show, so I was writing and producing, so I had to be respectful.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You can always come say hi.
Oh, I was so nervous to meet. I was just like, that's why I came to set.
You're kidding me.
No.
Insecure.
That is.
You were a writer, producer, actor on Insecure.
Yeah. I was on set that day, and then they were shooting you guys, and I think I ran down to, I was like, that's Sterling, I know.
You're so silly. This is great for me. Let me start. Let me start. I'm Sterling K.
Like you
Brown.
start a lot.
I'm Sterling K. Brown, everybody. This is a variety actors on actors. I'm talking to Natasha Rothwell.
I'm talking to Sterling K. Brown.
Because what struck me when I met you, so you met me first before I got a chance to meet you.
That's right. Well, I was in your presence.
There you go.
There you go.
But what was so cool about it is meeting you at the night before party, and you're so demure, and you're so refined and so elegant and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I like the way that you dropped into your character on Insecure. And I heard like you were starting as a writer first. You were hired as a writer.
Yes.
And you guys would be reading through the script and you would just be reading it and they're like, well, why don't we just give it to Natasha?
Yeah.
Is that how, like, give me your version of the
No,
story.
that's exactly how it happened. I thought I made one too many dick jokes and I was getting in trouble. And Easton Print was like, we want to see you in our office after the work day. And I spun out. I remember texting her, I was like, I think I just fucked it up. I messed up. And I go in the office and they're like, we were, about to get into auditions for Kelly. And in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll read for them or whatever. And they're like, we want you to be Kelly. And I just remember bursting into tears.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
You slayed that shit.
Thank you, man.
You're a murderer.
Oh, no, let's talk about you. If we're talking about murderers, you are a serial killer.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew.
I try.
No, you are so charismatic. You are so easy to watch. You almost broke up my parents' marriage.
What? Give me the story.
My mom watches Army Wives.
Yes! I'm big with a certain set.
With the level of, and I just remember being just like, if this nigga come up and ruin 47 years of marriage, I'm gonna be upset.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
The older black women and me, we got a thing.
Man, do
Me and Mrs. Jones,
yeah,
Mrs. Rothwell.
I mean, you ain't daddy yet, so hold up.
I'm
Is Mrs. Rothwell, Mr. Colonel Rothwell?
Colonel Rothwell, I ain't stepping into that.
Which is something we have in common. Your father was in the military, my father's in the military.
Look at you.
Do you know what branch?
He was in the Army.
Army.
My dad was in the Army.
My dad's Air Force.
And he was during Vietnam, he was actually stationed in Germany. So he wasn't in Vietnam, but he came back speaking a little German, so we speak a little German
Sprechen
around
die Deutsch.
Yeah, just a little. Un poquito. That's not German.
Tell him that your mother's a very honest lady, okay? But he better come through. He wants us to be scared, but we gotta make him scared, okay?
Let's move to the things that we're probably here to discuss a little bit more, and then we'll go backwards as well, too.
I love it.
Lotus. It's white. We're black. It's all good.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong. We're wearing a version of white, cream.
Well, you, Coolidge, and then her husband are the only three that have sort of like doubled up, right?
Yes.
Talk to me about the first season, getting that job. Was it already having like a foothold in the HBO world that was helpful, or completely independent of it?
I mean, I think I was in the family because of Insecure, but it was 2020, like peak COVID, pre-vaccination.
Right.
And I think they were just like, who is dumb enough to leave their house right now? But yeah, they reached out and it was just a meeting with Mike White. And I'd been a fan of his, like Chuck and Buck, Freaks and Geeks, like obsessed with him for a long time. So I was just like, yeah, I'll take a meeting.
Right.
Didn't know it was about White Lotus, didn't know anything. And then the meeting ended, and the next day my agent called me and was just like, Yeah, so he would love for you to play Belinda, and I hadn't seen a script. I was just like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about it. And then I saw some scripts, and yeah, that's how it happened.
But the meeting went well because you were such a fan, like, because you could cite his work. That probably helped to a certain extent.
Perhaps. I think much like people, like even yourself, perhaps confused me with my character of Kelly.
Sure.
I'm very much like reserved and a nerd and
Yeah.
and I'm a writer, right? We're both writers.
Yes.
We both share a lot of the same hyphenates. We're both writers, directors, actors. And so I was able to meet him as just like a fangirling over his
Yeah.
writing.
Sure.
And so I think that kind of helped it.
I saw the body. I saw the blood. President Bradford was murdered.
Let's talk about Paradise.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Are you as scared for the fate of humanity as I am after?
It's a great question.
Because if you looked at my Google search history, you might see a bunker company or two.
For real, for real?
I mean, legit. I've not pulled the trigger on anything,
Okay.
but I was like, what would I do?
My wife and I actually have a bunker in our home.
You're kidding me.
So I think a lot of mid-century modern homes actually have it because it's right after World War II
Yeah.
and everything. They're like, well, what if something happens? They shoot back,
Shut
pow,
up.
pow. And so we have like a bunker. She's never gone into it because she doesn't like dark places, like subterranean thing. I went underground when we bought the house, right? But and then
I'm
we
gagged.
sealed it up so the kids wouldn't be going down and playing it and that sort of thing. But
How
we do
big
have
is it?
It could probably hold 30 people.
You got my number, right?
I got you. I will get it after.
I just want to make sure
Okay.
that like I got a place to go.
I got you. I got you.
I
But
would have pimped it out.
I would too, but she just didn't. She doesn't
She was
like to
just
think
like,
about it
That's
until
well, you
we
have
absolutely
it.
have to think about it.
I mean, it's wild how the show flirts with what's happening now, and
Yeah.
it's almost like there's a slate and a matchstick, and it's scary how close
Yeah.
it seems we are to an extinction level event that
Yeah.
is like a consequence of humanity.
Yes. Okay, so a couple of things. How did the show come to me?
Yeah, how did the show come to you?
Dan Fogelman is the writer, creator. He's also the writer, creator of This Is Us.
A small little show. You had something to do with it, I hear.
I was on it. I was on it. And he said, look, man, I was writing this thing as I was going along. I think I was writing it with your voice in mind. Take a look at it. If you respond to it, great. If not, no big deal. I responded to it and I said, I'm in. I think I left him a voice note saying, I'm in. And he thought I said amen because Black people just randomly say amen. And he's like, what does that mean? I don't know. I said, I'm
That's a good
in,
poem.
dumbass. You're so...
Wait, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Before he had a script, or did he just loosely pitch you?
So,
or did you get eyes on the page?
This is a Fogelman thing. And he's explained it to me on a podcast that we do for This Is Us. He always just writes the first one. And then he shows it to the studio.
Uh-huh.
And then like either they like it or they don't. And so that way he feels as if like, I don't want notes. I don't want like, this is the thing that I've conceived of.
Yeah.
Do you like it or do you not like it? And if you
That's
don't, then I
genius,
can move
yeah.
on. So that's his thing. So he just
So you
showed
read
it
the
to me.
pilot?
I read the pilot.
Wow.
I read the pilot and I was like, because I wanted to know what happened next.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, yeah, I got to do the show
But it's
so I can figure it out.
tonally different from This Is Us.
Yeah,
So to have that kind of artistry expressed by the same man,
yeah.
were you kind of caught off guard by that, or you knew he had the capacity for a Paradise?
I knew he had the capacity for anything. He can write his ass off.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, he's done musical comedies.
yeah, he's done it all.
He's done Crazy Stupid Love, Life Itself. Like,
Yeah.
the dude is all over the place. So I think him, like me, eager to have opportunities to show the diversity of what we can
Your
do.
talent, yeah,
You
same.
know what I'm saying?
That's
So,
what
yeah.
that was White Lotus for me. I remember season 1, I had wrapped and I pulled Mike aside and I was like emotional because I went to school for acting like you went to school for
Yeah.
acting. We contain multitudes, but my entry point into the industry
Was, as a
was
writer.
comedy.
It was comedy, okay.
and
yeah.
as a writer,
Right.
SNL. And so like for me, it's so hard to get the industry to see all of me. And they can be really entrenched in like, well, she's the funny fat Black lady. We're gonna put her in this corner and that's the
Right.
box she's in.
Yeah.
And so for Mike to give me Belinda, I was just like, you opened up a cage that like I felt the edges of, you know? And so
Yeah.
I can imagine like the freedom of being able to show all yourself when you see a role that can unlock something that you know is there. Did you date a woman named Tanya McWad?
Me? No.
Okay. Well, you must have a doppelganger then.
I think for me, I look at this acting thing as sort of controlled schizophrenia in that there's so many people inside of me, and each character gives me an opportunity to let one aspect of self out.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that when I write.
Cathartic. Is writing easy? I find it painful sometimes.
The best quote is, writing is awful, but it's wonderful to have written.
Okay.
So like the process can be painful and it feels like an exorcism of sorts.
Yeah.
But for me, to be able to put pen to paper and to allow aspects of my personality to bleed in all the characters and it's also just like such an exercise in control.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to be restrained and not just be indulgent and make it all about you.
Okay.
It has to be about sort of like the subtext of what you're exploring. So I love it.
Yes.
And I also love acting, but it's just like there are two itches, different scratches, you know?
If you had to give one up. No?
I would write an actor who writes. I would write a script in which I play an author or a writer or something.
Okay. You don't want to give either up.
No, I think for me there is power in story, especially as a Black woman.
Yes, ma'am.
And putting pen to paper and that authorship I didn't have for a long time in my real life.
Yeah.
I was afraid to, I had relegated myself as, you know, number 12 on the call sheet in my real life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And so being able to have the power of the pen, it's intoxicating to be in control of the story. And then it's a reminder also that I have that power in real life.
Is this a good segue into How to Die Alone?
Yeah.
Because you're able to take advantage of the heat, I guess, behind you and your name right now and get something made. And I know how hard it is to get anything actually on the air. You have all these ideas and stuff and you think that everybody's gonna respond to it, but like if the zeitgeist is not responding to something at a particular point in time, it doesn't matter how great it is, it's like the industry wants this right now.
Right.
So, but you were able to find something and put it on the air and you had a season. Talk to me a little bit about just the feeling of getting something made.
I didn't think it would happen. I worked on the show for 8 years.
8
8
years.
years.
So you're pinning, while you're doing
Multiple
Insecure.
administrations came in and out of office. Various versions of the show existed, but nothing was, I mean, it's still the same show at its DNA, but yeah, it was just trying to find a home for it. I went through the process, but there was something about it, because I have so many scripts where I'm just like, you done, I'm putting you to bed, bye-bye, night-night, where it's just like, I know that it's not meant to go further than it did.
You feel it.
You feel it. I'm just like, oh yeah, I just needed to get it out of me. But with that show in particular, I was just like, that needs to be seen by people because I think it can help someone.
Yeah.
And so I felt very much called to let it breathe when I needed to, but I knew it was never done. I knew I needed to sort of fight for it. I'm really trying to change, Terrence. I keep hitting wall after wall after wall, and it's like I'm stuck.
So being in production, being the creator, being the runner or whatnot, like number one on the call sheet, you know, and stuff like that. What was the experience? Was it joyous? Was it arduous? Was it everything? Was it what?
It was all the things.
Yeah.
It was all the things. And what's interesting, you say one on the call sheet. I was texting with James this morning, Mr. Marston.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You and James like?
Yeah, I did Sonic with him.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I asked him, I was just like, give me some, like, tell me what your experience has been and sort of like something innocuous that feels like, that says a lot about Sterling's character. And he said a little anecdote about how you've passed up being number one on the call sheet many times because it's not about the numbers, about the work.
Yeah.
And so I'll just reflect that back to you. I think for me, for the longest time, I thought it meant something. Do you know, like, I would feel so different.
Sure.
But it just was, I just worked more.
Right.
And shit got hard and it made me like rise to the occasion, but it's ultimately the number didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I think for me, hindsight being what it was, I regret putting so much weight in it because not enoughness, that can be insidious and
I hear you.
So to me, I was like, oh, that'll mean something. That'll turn the page. And it's like, no, you still got to show up. You gotta go to all the meetings, the production meetings. You're, doing notes and, while you're in Video Village, while the camera turns around, you're prepping the next director. And so it asked a lot of me. Yeah. But my number could have been 12, 13. Didn't matter. I knew I wanted to have consistency on how I carry myself on set. So he said that about you.
Well, he's a nice man.
He said you
I
were
love
too.
him very much.
Where are your kids?
At school, I think with your son.
Okay, then they're right where they need to be. They're gonna get picked up with the other Versailles kids. You can see them on the plane, okay?
You know, so like I have my own thoughts on it. It was partly superstitious because I'd had so much success without being number one on the call sheet. Whether it was 4, 5, 6, whatever it was, I was like, maybe I'll just do that. And then I had a couple of projects come up where I was number one, and then they died before they got made, right? So I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be number one on the call sheet, right?
Yeah.
And so I think with Paradise was a time in which I felt like, oh, the role sort of necessitates it and it makes sense. I have a relationship with the showrunner somebody who I love and adore and whose talent I respect immensely. And it was a sort of familial environment too, because a lot of our crew from This Is Us carries over into
amazing.
Paradise. About 70% of the crew from the show is still with us, right? So there's a familiarity and like just comfort that I have with everybody that allows it, like it made sense right now. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like moving forward, hopefully there'll be a few more opportunities to be number one, but not to the extent that it excludes work.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like if you're waiting just for that, there's so many beautiful things that you can pass up, and I don't want to pass up too many beautiful things.
I built a career on being south of the Mason-Dixon line. Like for me, it is being able to make that character that may have been relegated to like Kelly was 12th on the call sheet.
Yeah, but Kelly pops.
Kelly pops.
No doubt.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Love Simon. I think I was 24.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like being able to, and that's what I love. So for me, it had never been about the number.
Right.
And then for some reason, there was this not enoughness that perhaps I think permeated my career post Insecure, because I thought, oh, well, I'm supposed to do that next. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt sort of like a part of, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. But I'm so grateful for that experience because it did remind me that there's no meaning in that. It's like, who are you and what is the character you portray? Because you have the energy of a number, you know what I mean? You are number one. When you walked in the room today, I was just like, there he is. You know what I mean? There's this thing that commands respect in your aura and your presence and how you move. And your decency. This is something else James said about you. An anecdote. I was just like, again, something innocuous that just speaks to his character. And he said, anytime we had to get in one of those large Sprinter vans moving the cast all over the place, you were the last one to get in the car. You held the door open, made sure everyone got in. And that to me, I was just like, I know who he is as a man, as someone who moves through the world, has nothing to do with the call sheet, who you are on and off set. I was like, someone who does that is a good, great, wonderful person who should be saved in a bunker. He should be on the list.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But people say that about you. How does that make you feel? To know that that's how you move and people are seeing that.
That's really sweet. Like you trying to make me blush. You're not gonna see it, but
I see
a little bit. What do I try to do?
I've stumped you.
That's a good one, Natasha. I think that what I do and what my ministry are parallel things, but they're slightly different. I feel like my ministry is to love and to share love in whatever form that it can come through. And then the occupation that the universe, God has given me right now is acting.
Yeah.
And so I can share love, whether through the character or on set, and try to create an environment that is loving and that people want that love to be there.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been on sets where it's not always lovely. I don't ever want the job to feel.
She'll get it cut anyway. Well, I'm just telling the truth. Shame the devil.
I'm with you. I never want people to be on a set that I'm on and feel like, oh, I have to be here. Hopefully they're like, I get to play today.
Yeah.
And SKB is here to play with. You know what I'm saying? So that's the vibe that I'm going for.
Yeah.
In terms of vibe and the control, and then after I finish with this one, we'll move into season 3. But like having it all be on your shoulders, right? What aspects of that? Because I think about it for me in terms of, I don't know if my shoulders are actually that broad, to be perfectly honest with you. Truly, I see Fogelman sort of like going through things and whatnot. I was like, man, this is a lot. And even the little bit that I have to do, I'm like, that's a lot. I want to go see my kids. But it seems like it's something that you welcome and you're not afraid of and you look forward to doing again.
I remember saying on set, because people were just constantly surprised by the relentless energy I had.
Yeah.
And I do believe there's something that happens to you when you're walking in your calling and your purpose.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to the human mind of being able to be number one on the call sheet, executive produce, picking out props, costumes, going to the show and tell, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it almost fed me in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to be like the slow clap.
I love it. I love it.
No, but that's just real. And so for me, I also know that I have to love the thing that I do that for.
Sure.
So
That makes sense.
there are a lot of showrunners that they have the mindset where it's just like they can showrun other people's projects and they have that capacity. I don't think I could have done what I did if it weren't mine.
Understood.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I knew that needed to be out there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be show running other people's shows. Yeah. But, and I'm going to kick it back to you in
All right,
terms of,
go ahead, kick it.
for your project, Washington Black, are you nervous about that producerial sort of like stepping into that, getting into that kind of minutia when it comes to creating?
That's a really good question. That's a great question. So what I find is it's easier to produce when you're part of the show, right? For me, it's a little bit tougher when you're not involved in it as an actor.
Right.
And you sort of, there's a little bit of distance for you, because when you're on set and you see how things are moving and going and whatnot, you're just sort of entrenched and it happens quite naturally. I'm not nervous. Like the show got shot in 2019. I finished shooting This Is Us in 22 and then went straight from there to Nova Scotia to shoot Washington Black.
Wow.
So it was 22, then we did reshoots last year, and so it'll come out this year.
Yeah.
Right, so I never had the experience like that on TV. Film, sometimes
Sure,
things have a longer
yeah.
gestation period. I'm happy it got made, first and foremost, because like I said, it takes a while and it doesn't always happen. I think it's an important story, and it's about a diaspora story of all these freed Black Americans that make their way to Nova Scotia and find community with one another.
And he's from Barbados?
He's a young slave boy from Barbados who winds up escaping on this flying contraption that his abolitionist slave master's brother created, and they crash land onto a pirate ship, and they get chased to the United States, and they have to flee the United States up to Nova Scotia, and then he winds up in England, and he creates like aquariums and all kinds of fantastical, crazy stuff, because it's not an exercise in Black trauma or pain, but in joy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of reframe what people thought of slave narratives and try to expand it in a different way. I was like, there's so many Holocaust stories and whatnot. There's different ways for us to address our past that bring us joy as well.
100%.
Right? So I'm trying to figure that out. And so, no, I don't think I'm too nervous.
Yeah.
Once it's made, how people receive it, I have no control over that.
Do you have no skin in the game? Like even outside of Washington Black, you're Teflon, you're unaffected by it?
I won't say unaffected.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, what can I do?
Exactly,
Because it's television and it's in the can and it's done with TV or film.
Yeah.
Like I can't really do anything. Like I'll go on and I'd love to like listen to my Instagrams and hear what people have to say about the shows. And I've been very thankful that folks have been very kind.
Yes.
People have been nice to Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not looking at a lot of crappy stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because if I thought that it was crappy, and I've done a few things that I think are crappy.
Ditto.
I don't go on Instagram and look for them.
You're just like, no, I feel you on that. I think like Insecure, there was a lot of audience participation insofar as we used to do, because we were trying to get people to watch in the early days and just bring up the fandom. So the writers would always like live tweet each episode. So we were engaging with fans. So literally as the show was airing, like, I don't know why you were wearing that outfit, like in it with them. And so that gave me a little bit of perhaps the inclination to check in. But like you, there's nothing that sticks.
Yeah.
But there is some kind of, I think, curiosity born out of that early interaction for sure.
Absolutely.
That's so fascinating.
All right, next, here we go. Back to we in season 3. We in Thailand now. But the first thing I want to ask, because you wear so many different hats, is there joy in just doing the acting thing and sort of being removed from everybody? It's a 2-part thing, being on location and just acting.
Yeah.
What is the fulfillment and how does it differ than wearing all the hats?
I was doing post for How to Die Alone from Thailand, Koh Samui. I was just finishing my last few days of it was wild. So I'd finished, I think we were just in post for episode 8, doing the last little tweaks. And then I was being called to set as Belinda coming up. And I remember being on set, I was like, because it was just one
They can't mess with me right now.
I was like, I ain't gotta do it. I don't gotta worry about nothing. Something wrong with catering? Don't care. You know, like I could just focus on the one thing.
Yes.
Again, I would not want that level of responsibility for, the show because I don't have that. It feels like for the projects that I'm doing with Big Hattie Productions, all of it has to it comes from this place of I'm passionate about getting the story made, and what do I need to do to make that happen?
Right.
For this, I just am protecting Belinda.
Yeah.
I'm holding her safe. I'm making sure that she's good. And so it was nice to have that kind of narrow focus for sure.
Yeah.
But it was a weird whiplash to go from being on set in Toronto, going straight into post, going straight to White Lotus. And it felt like it just was wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, also, so wait, you finished doing the post at the beginning of White Lotus?
The first week of White Lotus, you're like, everyone's there, and obviously you need some days to acclimate, the time change and everything. So my first couple of things on set were fittings and things of that nature.
Okay.
So I was Zooming with the post team.
Oh my God.
Yeah, doing color and making sure sound, everything, and signing off on those episodes while I was there in Koh Samui. So it was I'm just like doing this. It's all about an airport, and then I close my computer. I'm like, it was the jungle. Like it was wild.
That's insane. So wait, then promotion for How to Die happened after you finished shooting, or were you doing promotion in the midst of?
No, so then it's been full on, man.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been full on
Yes,
for like
ma'am.
a couple, but I'm so grateful, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'd wrapped production in Koh Samui and then went straight into press. To be honest, I flew from Koh Samui to New Orleans to do Essence Fest.
Did you really?
Yes. So I had gotten off the plane. I'd been up for like 36 hours, and I was just like, pivot, and then that's right. Went straight into press for How to Die Alone. Yeah.
This is okay. this brings up a tangent sort of for us because we are blessed, and I want to ask you a little question about what is it like for you to be working, to be busy, blessed to be busy.
Yeah.
Because we all have friends that are in this business and not as blessed right now.
Yeah.
And there's been a contraction in the industry.
Yes, it has.
How is your community like reflecting that contraction back to you?
Ooh, that is also a great question.
Thank you.
The contraction is not just being observed, it's felt. How to Die Alone only had one season.
Yeah.
And I see my friends who are caterers, costumers, makeup artists,
talk about it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Wanting to make sure that they are going to survive this great contraction. Not only that, it feels like the extinction level event of artistry in Hollywood is AI. So I just got back from the TED conference in Vancouver, and it's terrifying about what we're up against as artists to protect our work and to make sure that, AI isn't just generating versions of the talents that have been curated over years and years of study and, apprenticeship. So it's scary times, but I do think that in the most scary times, I think that artistry and art rise to the occasion and are the balm. You think about Theater for Social Justice. Is it Boal? Like in South America, creating art and theater around pain and being the joy and the escape. So my hope is that continues, and that we're up against a lot, but I think that we're made of strong stuff.
I think we're made of strong stuff. I also remind myself in terms of the camera that the industry is just like 100 years old.
Yeah.
And like how much of it has changed and how rapidly. When I first started, there was a thing called pilot season.
Mm-hmm.
And there was many a network drama. There's many a serialized, whether it was a lawyer or doctor or police show that you could get on and whatnot. There were 22 to 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Right?
Taking care of people still now.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're doing 8 episodes now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 6, sometimes 4, etc. You talk about the behind the line. I know a lot of my crew moved to Nashville, moved to Albuquerque or whatnot, and came back to do the show. But LA is too expensive a place to live and not work.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm saying this out loud to if the governor is listening. I know there's a 750 infusion and there's a 35%, but other places are doing 40%. And they're going to Ireland to shoot game shows, sis.
Crazy.
They're going to Ireland to shoot game shows.
It's wild. Wild.
So I'm just saying.
When I was in Thailand, or not Thailand, no, was it Thailand? there's something shooting that we weren't the only ones there. I can't
Sure.
recall, but like the outsourcing of like work that is happening.
I was in Australia. Girl, in my hotel, there were 7 movies.
Shut up.
It's real. And I say, like, listen, I don't want
That's
the
insane.
industry to think that, like, save money, make things economically, etc., but like not to the exclusion of labor. Like keep
crazy.
people employed, because if you do well, but something is slowly dying, like it's not gonna sustain itself. So I just was curious on your take.
There's a little bit of Molly, you in danger, girl, about it all.
Come on.
And I love initiatives like Stay in LA, where they're allowing people to petition the government and in California to make those initiatives worthy of shooting happening here, because it's not only just better for the ecosystem, but it's also just like better for families, better for like stasis. You know, like I'm neurospicy. A lot of change ain't great for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like having that sort of like regularity of being able to work and come home at the end of the day is something that used, like you said, used to happen when it was a bigger studio system. But I'm hopeful. I'm not discouraged. And I also think that like there's so much opportunity in, and this is speaking to the AI of it, of just like creating things on our own terms, like being able to use social media and platforms to create and to storytell from that place. I think that like we have a whole movie studio in our pocket with a phone, you know, so like there's so much that it's hard to get stuff made, but also don't let the great contraction keep you from creating and finding that space.
And you're talking about ways that AI works in tandem, not replacing.
Correct.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I think there's something in that, and yeah, I'm hopeful.
I want to ask you an acting question.
Okay.
And it has to do with Belinda, season 3. So like there's this interesting sort of moral conundrum that you're dealing with.
Say more.
You know that he's probably had some nefarious dealings with his wife. She's gone, he's here. He's saying he's somebody that he is, but you know him by another name.
That's right.
Okay. You're debating on whether to approach him, not to approach him, etc. You ultimately wind up approaching him, and he hits you with an indecent proposal.
That's right.
Right? I'm curious in terms of the synchronicity of Natasha versus Belinda. What would Natasha do? Would she have just taken the money and run, or would she have the same sort of moral dilemma?
Here's the thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that Belinda saw an opportunity to get something that I think she fundamentally believed that she deserved.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't think even was right for her. I think she's a very kind of moral compass for the show, which is why I'm scared for her, because I do think, you know, karma's real. And so there's something, you know, the money is blood money.
Yeah.
But I do think in that moment when she's sitting across
It's a great turn, by the way.
It was my pitch.
Was it really?
It was my pitch. Listen, this is why I love Mike. And working for him twice now, we have this great relationship. And I read the scene originally. And originally it was just her son, Zion was just, and she was just in the back seat. And and we talk through pages all the time. We get on Zoom and I was just like, you know, Mike, I really want to see Belinda have agency in this moment.
Yeah.
And like, can she take over the negotiation in some way? Like, what is an authentic way for her to like show that she's pushing her chips in along with her son? And he sent pages and we got on the Zoom and talked about it. I was like, I'm obsessed.
And you tell him your mother takes things very personal. She doesn't trust him, okay? And if we don't make a deal and we don't get the money, who knows what I'll do?
Being able to show that turn, I think comes from like in that moment she sees that she has power over a white man, that the kind of man that she has been rubbing his, you know, backs like his for a long time.
Totally.
So there's this like, oh, I have the upper hand. And I think it's intoxicating when power, you know, corrupts absolutely corrupt. So I think there's this moment where
Is she Breaking Bad?
I'm not saying, I don't know that she's Breaking Bad, but I think she feels that there's an opportunity here. And I also come from it from a place of great empathy. I remember when I was able to not think about money 24/7, 365 days. I used to carry around a check in my wallet when I was fucking broke.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wrote it for the amount of my student loans, just to be like, someday I'm going to be able to. So I think of Belinda being like, this is a reprieve from a life of being concerned about her son, putting him through school. She's been in service of other people her entire life.
Yeah.
And now she's given herself the permission to think about herself. So I think as much as people want to make it a moral dilemma, I'm just like, for me, it's a righteous choice for her to choose herself.
Yeah.
Even if it's...
Did the money also sort of like quell her on the idea of going into partnership with dude?
See, this is the other thing that pisses me off. People are just like, oh, you just left porn chai on the side of the road.
I'm just asking for the people.
She fucked the dude one night. She had a one-night stand, and people are like, "Why didn't she just?
My
take
man
him
was
whatever?"
wide open. He was like, "We can go into business, and I will give you whatever." Like he was wide.
No. Listen, he was ready.
You put it on him.
I thank you. I gave it. It happens.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I'm saying is, she owed him nothing. And
No.
in season 1, Tanya promised Belinda the world.
Right.
And she's culpable in that because she outsourced her happiness to someone else.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
And
I do.
in this, he wasn't being like, this was a dream I always had, do this for me. He was just like, do you want to do this? She's like, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
But I think what Mike did so brilliantly, the scenes are echoes of each other, so people automatically think that this is that. But I think if you sit for a minute with what Belinda went through, she had an opportunity to betray herself again. She betrayed herself when she gave her dreams to Tanya to execute. Yeah. And she could have betrayed herself by saying, you know what, come on, porn chai, I'll add you to my IRS tax return. I'll say I got another one. She was just like, no, things have changed. I think that's the line. Circumstances have changed.
Circumstances have changed for me, and I just can't commit to anything right now.
And I think it's a beautiful thing to see a woman choose herself.
Yeah.
And to give herself the space to just breathe. And I'm just obsessed.
Samantha Redmond, codenamed Sinatra, is behind this. She's pulling the strings, and the other billionaires are marching in step.
I need to talk about Paradise.
What do you need to talk about?
I've met your wife.
I know.
I love her.
I love it too.
I had some thoughts that disrespected her about you.
That's quite all right. You ain't the first. Oh, you about to ask about? Okay.
There's several moments that made me think, and I send her my apologies.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. But it's specifically when you go after your wife in the show, and you break bad and you steal the plane, I think, when the hangar opens and you're about to go outside again. It's like the last shot. And you say, what is it? I'm coming for you?
Yeah. I'm coming, baby. I got you. Hey. Brown try, just metaphorically. Metaphorically.
But there's something in this show, even from the jump, from the pilot, when you're on the plane and you're on the phone with your wife and she's in Atlanta and you're just saying, there's such a selflessness of love that is executed by you in this season. And I can't wait to see where it goes. How do you find that vulnerability and selflessness in those moments when I think so often the really human default is fear and like, I got to save me.
Right.
There's such an elegance in that kind of like selflessness. That's the only thing I could think of. And it's throughout. And your motives throughout are coming from this place of doing what's right.
Yeah.
I want to know how you get to that place as an actor. I want to know how it felt in that moment as you're leading up to that final, the hangars opening up and you're about to go out, like that hope that she's still there. There's this vulnerability of hope. It's just beautiful.
Thank you, first and foremost. He's gone through so much through the season. And I think when the first time he hears Terry's voice on these recordings that Sinatra has, he's like, are you serious? Like, I've been thinking for 3 years. I was worried they were AI. I was still worried about it too, because you can't trust Sinatra.
Sinatra is... No.
Sinatra need to get a pew as far as I'm concerned. But as soon as that is introduced, the possibility, now he has to find out.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's that simple. Here's why he has felt incomplete for 3 years. He's been raising these children by himself, and he's knowing that like this wasn't how it was supposed to be. Right? We were supposed to be together. So the idea that his family could be reunited, that he could have his best friend, his partner in life with him.
But he paused that line of thought when he was in the shower And help me with the actress's name.
Her name is Sarah Shahi.
Sarah Shahi. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, he did pause that.
He paused that.
Listen, everybody has a pause. Everybody has a
that
pause.
also was a moment where I was like, I need to let Ryan know.
Listen, Peloton. It is. I'm 49 years old, and the fact that anybody wants to see 49-year-old booty, makes me happy.
Hey,
It makes me happy.
As it should.
I try.
You have worked hard.
I work
to
hard
lift us all up as you've been lifting it up.
Hallelujah!
Praise him.
Natasha,
Sterling,
it's been a pleasure.
I'm obsessed with you.
It goes both ways. If you ever want to hire me, holler at your boy.
Ditto. We should do a rom-com together. I mean it.
If you write it, I'll do it.
Say less.
All right. See y'all later.